Hi, and thank you for joining us in today's 3CLogic live talk session on the value of voice-based self-service for ServiceNow. My name is Guillaume, and I will be your host for today's session. Couple quick housekeeping items. First and foremost, please recognize that some of what we'll discuss today could be considered forward-looking. Simply ask that you take that into consideration while you view today's session. With that said, let's get started. So I always like to start conversations with a few data points just to sort of anchor and set some context as to what we'll be covering today. And the one I'd like to start with is the fact that 75% of easy customer journeys begin in digital channels. So obviously an easy customer journey is defined as something that presumably a customer should be able to resolve themselves. For example, the request to reset a password. And then digital channels refer to those channels that include email, chat, self-service, perhaps an online knowledge base, and the like. And yet, if you look at some of the research, 73% of surveyed companies will admit that digital interactions will frequently escalate to a live call center agent. In fact, over a third of digital interactions typically need additional human assistance. Now that information, that data was actually pre-COVID. If you look at what happened since the beginning of the pandemic, the majority of this year, we've actually seen call volume spike across every industry. You look at the hotel and travel industry, everyone was calling in the beginning to cancel their bookings. You look at the retail industry that's moved online, and you see a spike in calls with regards to refund requests or to talk about the fact that they hadn't gotten their package. You look at the healthcare industry, people are calling, looking for information about how to get tested or potentially determine if one of their loved ones is in the hospital. And then, of course, if you look at the public sector, a lot of citizens may be calling their local government to find out why they may not have received their stimulus check. By and large, what we've seen today or this year is simply a need to want to communicate with other human individuals. And it simply suggests that voice as a channel still remains a key part of the overall customer service value chain. In fact, if you look at the data, 60% of the time, individuals would prefer to speak to a live individual when dealing with a difficult journey. It could be something that's complex, time sensitive, that's otherwise been escalated. And that's despite the headaches that you would anticipate when reaching out to an organization. And so, of course, it begs the question, why? Well, the reality is that as a channel, voice is uniquely positioned to help when it comes to both easy customer journeys as well as difficult ones. And that's what we're going to cover today through a couple examples that I'm going to share with you. We're going to look at how you can actually still leverage voice, modernize it for your organization, and address and deflect when need be use cases that should be self-serviced, and at the same time still reserve the right to escalate at the appropriate time a customer to a live agent. So with that, let's take a look. So what I have here is an instance of ServiceNow, and I'm going to pretend to be a customer. I'm going to pretend to be John Smith, and at the same time, I'll be on the receiving end, pretending to be company ABC Corp. And the first use case that we're going to do one of two, is a completely self-service, autonomous inquiry that I, as a customer, I'm going to call about, and the system, using information from ServiceNow, is going to address and resolve for me. So what you can see here is that I am part of a company, Boxeo. Boxeo already has a known major disruption, major case, in this case, a complete DNS resolution failure. But I don't know that ABC Corp is aware of it, so I am going to call as the customer.
Hello, John. Thank you for calling ABC Corp. You have reached the customer support line. Our system indicates that an outage has been reported. Would you like to hear the latest update?
Yes, please.
We are aware of an issue related to complete DNS resolution failure. Our engineers are actively addressing the outage, and our team will continue to provide updates as they are available. This outage was first reported at 8:39 p.m. on September 5th. The current state of the outage is open. Thank you for your patience. Was your call regarding this outage?
Yes, it was.
We have automatically created a case for you and associated it with the major outage case. You will shortly receive an SMS for tracking purposes. Would you still like to speak to an agent?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your call. Have a...
All right. So let's go through a couple things here. So first and foremost, if we go back to the original case, when I called in, the system automatically recognized that I am part of that organization and that there is a major or known major case outage, in this case, a complete DNS resolution failure. So the system was already attempting to inform me and potentially address the situation before ever needing to escalate to a human individual. At the same time, for the sake of documentation, it also created a child case, which we have here. And then true to form, if we look at our text messages here, you can see that in fact, it did send me a text message with a link to all the cases that are assigned to me, the customer, John Smith, of which one of them is the major outage, which is case number 1151. So the benefit here is I was able to call in about something that presumably I wasn't sure was a known issue. The system was able to notify me that in fact it is. And so there's no need for me to necessarily clog the call center with a request that's already known. And at the same time, it proactively provided me information and at the same time, future notifications without ever needing to reach out to a live call center agent. So this is an example of how you can apply voice in the context of integrating it with information that's known and available in ServiceNow to really help optimize those types of calls that may come in without necessarily taking up human resources and at the same time, not impact the customer experience at all. Now, if we look at a different example, I'm going to go ahead and call in and we're going to do something that's pretty basic. We're going to request a reset of password. And at the same time, I'm also going to check in on something that ultimately I do in fact want to check or speak with a live individual about. So you're going to see how voice as a channel, leveraging ServiceNow can once again balance an easy as well as a difficult request. So what I'm going to do here is I'm John Smith, and I'm going to call in about a password reset. So I'm just going to pull up cases because what you're going to see is the system is going to automatically create certain aspects or certain fields within ServiceNow for documentation purposes, and then we'll talk to it a little bit at the end. So let me just call in here real quick. We'll put that on speaker again.
Hello, John. Thank you for calling ABC Corp. You have reached the customer support line. Please say in a few words, what are you calling about?
Password reset, please.
Sure, I can help you reset your password. Please wait a moment while we process your request. Your password has been reset successfully. We have automatically created a case for you regarding this request. You will also receive a text message with a new password shortly. Is there anything else you need help with?
Yes, please.
I see you have an open case CS00011147 with description. Router is not upgrading. Are you calling about this one?
Yes.
Please say in a few words, what would you like to do with this case? Here are a few examples of what I can help you with. Say add a note, give me an update, or escalate the case.
Escalate.
Sure, I have updated the case status to escalated with priority. Critical. Please hold while I transfer your call to Guillaume Sines, who last helped you with this case.
Our representatives are currently on the line with other customers. We value your time and thank you for holding.
I'm going to put that call on hold. And let's just recap a few things that have already happened. So first and foremost, if I just move the CTI here, if I go back to the original case, you'll see, or for John Smith here, you'll see that it first identified or created in my call logs, it created an automatic password reset. And it did in fact, to the same number again, send me my password request in the form of a text. So that was completely automated and done through self-service. But then as a customer, I reserved the right to also submit an inquiry about an active open case, which was the router is not upgrading. So when we look up that case number 1147, we were able to actually update the status from high to critical, and that was all automated as well. But in the process, it automatically determined that I needed to be transferred to a live individual. So when it did that, you'll notice that the 3CLogic CTI, which is what enables embedded call center functionality, in this case, the ability for an agent to be the recipient of a call, it immediately initiated that call to the agent. And you can see that in the process, it went ahead and created an interaction inside of ServiceNow. The benefit here is that all engagements, in this case, telephony included, are going to be documented for future use and reference. And so you can see as an agent, I can see how the individual reached me. And at the same time, it automatically linked itself to the case to which this is all going to be associated, which is the router is not upgrading. And so this is just another example where voice is uniquely positioned to add value and deflect easy use cases up front, but then at the appropriate time, reserve the right to go use human resources to facilitate things that perhaps are a little bit more complex in nature. So with that, let's recap a little bit of what we've covered so far today and the value. So first and foremost, voice remains a key part of the customer service value chain. It's not that digital channels don't have a role to play. They absolutely do. It's the balancing of the two where you can add a lot of value when it comes to overall customer experience. Second, voice is still among the most versatile channels available when it comes to automating easy or handling difficult requests, which we saw in the second example that we went through. At the same time, one of the things that we're truly benefiting from is not just voice as a standalone solution, but voice integrated in the context of ServiceNow. ServiceNow is enriched with a ton of data that is relevant to solving inquiries as they come in. So when you integrate voice tightly with ServiceNow, you're actually optimizing your service desk operations, and it's not without it while improving the overall customer experience, right? You're not impacting it. And last but not least, which we can't cover in this session, but obviously we can cover in others, when you embed voice with ServiceNow, when we show the interaction, the fact that a password was reset, the fact that something was changed from one status to another, all those activities are documented in ServiceNow. And when you enrich ServiceNow with that information, you're offering future insights, deep and actionable insights that you can leverage to go back and determine where you can improve your customer journeys in the future. So if we recap with regards to who 3CLogic is, we, if you haven't realized it yet, are a cloud call center solution, and we happen to be the leader when it comes to native cloud contact center solutions for ServiceNow. We have global 2,000 customers all over the world across many of the industries I referred to earlier when using examples about how COVID impacted call centers. We're deployed across 5 continents, and we are a certified and very knowledgeable partner of ServiceNow. And at the same time, when it comes to scalability, because we're a cloud solution, we have the scalability, the flexibility, and the reliability that comes with our platform, which is hosted on Amazon Web Services. If anything that I covered today drew your interest and you'd like to speak to how self-service from a voice perspective would be relevant to your operations, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to us at servicenow@3clogic.com. You can also reach us at info@3clogic.com. There's also more information tied to the resource for this channel, so feel free to take a look at those and others. In the meantime, it was a pleasure to be your host for this short session, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks.